This is Drake's Head on the Pacific coast. There isn't a more murderous stretch of rocks anywhere in the world. Two opposing ocean currents meet here. They form a turbulent underwater stream that, hidden from sight, rushes out to sea. I was desperately searching from the cliffs above for one of my students. A student who couldn't walk and had only recently learned to dive. She was diving with her husband. I was sure their lives would be endangered in these waters. I didn't know that danger was what he wanted, and that there was almost no chance that Dinah would come up alive, because she was not only diving with her husband, she was diving with death.
You can talk about me just as soon as I'm gone. Guster?
The legs are almost useless.
How did it happen?
A mountain climbing accident about a year ago. Dr. Johnson is one of the best neurologists in the country, and he feels there's nothing more he can do for Dinah. Water therapy seems to be the only way back.
The physical state of her leg muscles and nerves warrant a greater mobility than she shows. She must be made to use her legs.
Why, didn't she want to?
Well, it's pretty dull just to kick your feet in a pool. That's why I sent for you.
You mean you want to use scuba diving as a therapy?
Yes.
I thought Mr. Garrick's idea was a very practical one.
What's so amusing?
Oh, it isn't. It's just that I've been trying to sell this idea to the medical profession for years.
You mean for general use, as in polio?
Why not? Gives the patient an incentive. It makes him equal to the others when he's in the water.
Mr. Nelson, you help Dinah Garrick, and I'll sell your idea to the medical profession.
You'll take the job?
I've been waiting for it.
Well, Mr. Nelson, she's in your hands. I'll be in touch with you.
Nice meeting you, Dr.
Nice
Johnson.
meeting you. Never mind, Mr. Garrick. I can find my way out.
I think your wife will take to scuba diving.
Well, she loved swimming before the accident.
No problem, then. How about you? You like to take some lessons?
Well, as far as scuba diving is concerned, you'll have to count me out. I've thought of it, but I seem to have some sort of claustrophobia. Just couldn't do it.
Don't let it bother you. Well, I can start with her tomorrow in the pool, if that's okay with you.
Wonderful. Let's go talk to her.
According to the log that I kept on Dinah Garrick, her first lesson with the snorkel and mask took place on July 5th in her pool. She showed no fear of water. The next day, July the 6th, I took her snorkel diving in a calm ocean cove near our home. I knew that seeing the flora and fauna of the sea would quicken her interest in swimming. A week later, July the 12th, I took her to a moderate depth. No panic, no alarm. I was sure that the excitement of diving would hold her through a long course of water therapy. In order to make Dinah use her legs for extended periods but without strain, I employed a water scooter. This permitted many variations of motion. Every muscle of her legs got its share of gentle movement. This involved her making the transition from snorkel to scuba. She took to underwater breathing like a fish. I applied this therapy for 2 weeks. During the following 7 days, I took Dinah deeper in slow stages, 30 feet, 40 feet, and at the end of the 4th week, on August the 2nd, according to my log, to 60 feet. I congratulated myself on having found the perfect student. But suddenly a manta ray flashed into view. It saw us and charged. or so Dinah thought. She panicked and started to surface fast, dangerously fast. But I got to her in time, held her down. She'd forgotten that fast surfacing from depth can give you the bends, and that bends can kill. That was the only scare. The rest was all fun and frolic. It was during the next week that Dinah met her first seal. He saw us cavorting and promptly began to imitate us. The same day, Dinah had her first proof that seals can talk. We could hear the noise that these mammals make underwater. There was no holding Dinah back now. She claimed every other living thing in the sea as friend and playmate. She seemed never to get tired, and in the water, never even gave the weakness of her legs a thought. This after barely a month and a half of treatment. It was on August 15th that Paul Garrick, with odd thoughts going through his head, was watching us after a day's swim.
Well, it's been exactly 6 weeks today since we started.
Mike? What do you really think?
I think it's time for Dr. Johnson to come and take a look at you.
I do feel stronger. Mike!
Don't do that, Dinah.
No, stay there, Mike. I think I can make it.
Not now, Dinah. Let Dr. Johnson tell you when.
Stay there. I'll come to you. Now watch me. I could have sworn I was able to walk.
Don't rush it. It'll come back again. You never did tell me exactly how it happened. Mind?
Climbing Mount Whitney. Paul and I had been married a year.
Yeah, I understand he was a guide at one time.
We were crossing the ice. I slipped. Paul reached out to grab me. He almost went over himself. I guess I was lucky. I landed on a narrow ledge. You know, Mike, it's only since we started that I'm really glad I lived.
And you'll walk. Your legs are getting stronger every day.
I'll have you to thank for it.
All right. Put your arm around me.
That same day, something happened in the waters at Drake's Head. A man was caught in the underwater current. He was no ordinary swimmer. Powerful and deep-chested, he knew how to use his body and wind. He knew how to bounce off the bottom. He knew how to twist with the current to keep from being broken apart. and he rolled with the murderous underwater punches. He held when he could and used his arms and fins with the skill of long experience. Finally, he worked himself to the edge of the current and got out alive. The swimmer was Paul Garrick, the man who said he was afraid to swim underwater. He was calm and unruffled by his battle with the current, because it had been a deliberate experiment. He had tested a murder weapon, the underwater current. His victim was to be his rich wife, Dinah Garrick. By the end of my second month with Dinah, I didn't think of swimming as therapy for her, except when I made progress entries in my log. Every day held something new for her. We discovered an old sunken hulk. Dinah brought sketching materials along. She proceeded to draw the old wreck at 50 feet below the surface. Her mental attitude had completely changed. She now knew certainly that one day soon she would walk again. It was this same day, September 3rd, that she tried to show me that she already could walk.
You think you're ready for that?
Paul drove me in to see Dr. Johnson yesterday.
What'd he say?
He said to try it. As soon as I thought that I could. With help.
Wait a minute. Concentrate now. Congratulations, that was wonderful.
I've got you to thank for it, Mike. Dr. Johnson said not to stop swimming.
That's right. Want to try practice here, huh? Come on. That was great.
Oh. There's Paul.
Hi, Paul. Oh, you should have seen your wife just now.
I saw her. I saw you both.
What do you mean?
I mean, I know what's been going on.
What's on your mind?
I saw that touching tableau. You were too interested to notice anything.
Paul, what are you talking about?
You're way off course, Garrick.
Am I? This isn't the first time I've seen you getting chummy with my wife. You can't seem to stay away from her.
Paul, you're imagining. There's been nothing.
Sure, there's nothing in your mind. Send me your bill. You're through.
He's dead wrong, of course. You know that.
Yes, I know, Mike. I want you to stay.
I say he doesn't.
Sorry, Dinah.
Ramming Paul Garrick's words down his throat would do Dinah no good. It would be best for her if I just faded out of the picture. She could get another instructor. next morning, there was no new instructor for Dinah. Her husband had told her that he had overcome his fear of diving, that he had a wonderful surprise for her.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Clark. How you been, boy?
Fine.
Returning your thanks.
How's Mrs. Garrick doing? You want me to pump these?
No, going back home. Something came up.
Oh, that's what Mr. Garrick meant this morning.
He was here?
Yeah, first thing this morning, about 7 o'clock. Bought a mess of scuba equipment. It works.
For whom?
For himself. Joked about the student going to be the teacher, and he's going to be the student.
You mean she's going to teach him?
I guess so. He was trying on the face mask.
Be back for my deposit here.
Oh, wait a minute. It only takes a second.
I'll see you later, huh?
Okay.
I looked for them at the cove where Dinah and I usually swam. They were nowhere in sight.
Gustav.
Mr. Nelson, you back?
Mr. and Mrs. Garrick. Where are they, you know?
They went diving. I don't know where, but they took Mr. Garrick's car.
How long ago they leave?
About a half hour.
You see, sweetheart, my jealousy of Mike Nelson didn't start just yesterday. It started the first day he came. So without telling you, I learned how to dive myself.
You said you didn't like it, that you were afraid of it.
Well, I guess my jealousy was stronger.
I'm glad you were jealous. Now we can swim together for hours every day. We'll be together again.
Well, Mrs. Garrick, shall we swim?
I drove down the coast to other places where they might have gone to swim. The idea of Dinah teaching Paul was insane. Being able to swim didn't make her a competent teacher. The chance of their getting into trouble, even of drowning, was too great. When I found Garrick's car, I knew that they were somewhere nearby. But why here? Why had they gone diving in these dangerous waters? Paul Garrick played it safe for himself, while he guaranteed his wife's death. He let her down to 60 feet, to a place near the underwater current, to a place where if she were helpless, she would be gradually sucked into the overpowering turbulence. Dinah, unsuspecting, became interested in the new kind of shells on this new part of the ocean floor. Garrick unhooked his overloaded weight belt, and then quickly, before she knew what he was doing, he put the extra belt around her and wired it to her. I swam down, looking around. Then I saw them and was about to swim to them. Had Garrick gone mad? I could see him rip off her mask and pull out her mouthpiece. I lunged to help Dinah, but Garrick saw me coming and met me with a drawn knife. Now it was a fight not only for Dinah's life, but for my own as well. Garrick himself had been sucked into the deadly current. But this time, exhausted by his battle with me, he couldn't overcome its murderous force. He was caught, hopelessly, in his own death trap.
I couldn't get to him in time. Current swept him out to sea.
That's what he intended for me.
You walked all the way over here?
Yes. Maybe I couldn't walk because even though I loved Paul, I've always been afraid of him.
Yeah? How long's that been going on?
Since the day on the mountain. The day I fell. Or should I say, since the day he pushed me. Now I know.
The thing for you to remember now is that you're well again. That you can walk. Hi, I'm Lloyd Bridges, inviting you to join us for another action-packed story of underwater adventure 1 week from today.
Everyone knows that air rises in water in the form of bubbles. Lives have been saved in underwater emergencies by trapping air and using it. Once for a pilot whose plane had sunk in the ocean. A sealed cabin and a source of oxygen kept him alive till I could free him. I saved my own life with an air trap, too. I had been caught by a violent underwater turbulence. When I finally broke free, I was exhausted and dazed and a long way from the surface. I trapped air from my diving lung in a square of canvas that I'd used for rock samples. It worked as an underwater balloon, bringing me to the surface and to safety. I was in New York delivering a lecture on air traps to a convention of divers. When I returned to my hotel room, I was sure that I was through with that subject. I was wrong.
And so, here in the river, within shouting distance of millions of people, a ship has gone to the bottom and many of her crew have drowned. You are now looking at the SS Bahia, one of the two vessels that collided and the only one of the two to survive. The freighter Jupiter went to the bottom, and as you have heard, it is feared that an undetermined number of seamen were trapped in the vessel when she sank. An exact estimate of the death toll is not available at this time. No announcement has been made as to the number of people who were hurt. The mayor has commended the various rescue units for their heroic and remarkable work in the face
Hello?
of almost insurmountable
Speaking.
obstacles. No information
Yeah, I'm watching it right now.
the cargoes, the damage to the Bahia, or the value of the lost vessel, the Jupiter. Apparently,
Hey, you bet.
there is a
I'll be there as fast as I
controversy
can.
to which of the vessels was at fault.
Yeah, I know where it is.
When the
I'll see you in 15
director's
minutes.
report was reached, comment.
I can't understand how the whole thing happened. Broad daylight. Two perfectly competent sea captains. And one of the newest ships we have. There was absolutely no excuse for the whole thing.
But, what makes you think that there's somebody still alive down there?
I read the article you wrote about underwater air traps.
Oh, I see.
5 men are still unaccounted for. I hate to ask you to risk your life on something that seems hopeless.
Oh, there's no way of knowing it's hopeless until you try.
Does that mean you're willing to try?
Have you got a diagram of the ship's interior?
Why, of course. She went down nose first in about 50 feet of water.
She's going to shift for the tide, you know. And when that happens, it'll probably wipe out whatever air traps there might be now.
Flood tide's at 5:05. That gives you about 4 hours.
Oh, that's not much time. We'll have to pick up my equipment, too.
We'll do it on the way.
The light line all fixed, sir? Okay. Well, we'll see if that hunch you use is right.
Don't take any chances. Do the best you can, that's all.
I will. Can I get that crowbar? Hold me up. Okay, see you guys. The water was remarkably clear, and I saw the Jupiter immediately. But the current was strong, and I judged that the ship had not yet settled completely. A sudden shift might kill me, and any of the crew might still be trapped alive. I tied the lifeline to the deck rail. I couldn't open the first hatch. I began tapping with my crowbar. This would be a signal to anyone who might be alive, and the sound would also tell me if the air was trapped anywhere. But there was no response to my signals, and all the compartments seemed flooded. Response to my signals, but deep in the heart of the vessel, water was being held back by an air trap, and 3 lives were flickering out in the damp darkness.
I know you're scared. So am I. Easy, boy.
Scared. He's too dumb to know he's gonna die.
Tiger's a smart pup. He knows what's happening to us. Right, easy, boy.
He's so smart. Let's see him find a way to get out of this trap. We're all gonna die. As soon as the air's gone.
Yeah. We're using it up fast, too, ain't we?
What are we gonna do about it?
There's nothing we can do, Johnny.
I know something we can do. We can drown that dog.
Get out of your mind!
He's using up the air. That's my air. He's using it up.
Take it easy, Tiger. Take it easy. Take it easy, Tiger. Are you crazy? Take it easy, Tiger. Take it easy,
Kill you. I'm gonna kill them both of you.
Johnny! Johnny, listen! Listen, Johnny, hear that? Johnny! Listen!
Was it imagination or wishful thinking? Did I really hear an answer to my signal? Someone was alive and trapped in this underwater tube. I moved toward the sound. We began to communicate in Morse code. I learned that 2 men had been able to stay alive in an air trap in the galley, but that they were beginning to suffocate for lack of fresh air. I was running out of air myself, and I needed more equipment. I told them not to give up, that I'd be right back for them. I didn't tell them that the tide would soon change, and that if it shifted the Jupiter's hull, their trapped air could escape, and they'd be drowned in an instant.
Those other air tanks are mine, fool.
Yes, they are.
All right, get them.
And get me 2 extra tanks.
Right.
Give me a cutting torch.
Then you found somebody. Alive?
Send those tanks down the lifeline.
Okay.
Yeah. There's 2 of them down there. They're in the galley. The door jammed in the collision, and it's formed an air pocket that's kept them alive. Your hunch was right.
The tide will shift in less than an hour. Can you get them out by then?
I gotta get them out before then. Come on, balance me up. Okay.
What's keeping him?
Take it easy, Johnny. It's gonna take time.
He'll be drowned before he gets back. Get rid of that brute.
You starting that again?
I'm telling you to get rid.
The more you talk, the more I hear you shut.
When I returned to the Jupiter, I knew it must have shifted somewhat because the hatch was closed again. I wondered if the men were still alive.
Water's coming in. It means the air's leaking out.
Hang on, Johnny. You said he was coming back. Answer to my signal, I knew that they had survived. But every second was even more precious now. I found a point below the water level in the galley. If I cut in too high, the trapped air would escape. As my torch began to burn through the steel bulkhead, I could still hear occasional weak taps. The tapping had stopped now. A cutting torch had never seemed so slow. Swung around sharply, but I held on and kept cutting. At last, I punched through an opening. turned off the hydrogen line, which put out the flame of the torch. I let the oxygen and compressed air continue to flow, because I had another use for the torch now.
I'll leave this area for you. I'll be right back.
I told you he was coming back.
We're gonna have a ship, mate.
Oh, we'll make it. Gussie, it's the pup. He brought us luck. He's a lucky pup. He's the reason that... What's gonna happen to him now?
I don't know.
And a couple of tanks for you. Have you ever used one before? No. All right. This is what you do. Breathe in and out through this mouthpiece. Yeah, put it on, try it. Blow it before you start to breathe through it, because it's full of water. That's right. Here, put it around. Here, let me have this. That's it. Put your arms right in there. That happens to you when you're under there now. You blow hard on that mouthpiece, that'll get rid of the water. Yeah. Now, come on, try it. You better hold your nose. Put it all the way in. That's it. Find our little flange there. Try it. Now go on down. How'd you do? Okay. All right. Now there's a lifeline right outside that leads up to the surface. I'll guide you to it, and you go up it hand over hand. But go up slowly, very slowly, and breathe normally. Now that's very important, you understand? Otherwise you might burst your lungs. You understand? I'll be back for you as soon as I start him up the line. Don't worry. I will go, Ray. He's not going to drown. Come on. Hold your nose. Blow on that hose first.
With the second man on his way up, I had completed my original mission. But I still had one more life to save.
Take it easy now. Who gets out of here? I know. It's gonna be all right now. It's gonna be all right. Come on.
I had improvised a small air trap with one of the galley pots, filling it with air from the torch so the pup could keep breathing. I had a job holding both the lion and the struggling dog under the pot.
Boy, Tiger. Oh, this is so good. Oh, that lucky pup, Tiger. Tiger, you've been our lucky pup. You sure brought us luck, Tiger. Oh, boy, it's good to be up here now, eh, boy? Ain't it, boy? Oh, brother. Tiger, my lucky pup.
Hello there. I'm Lloyd Bridges. Skin diving is fun and adventure for young and old, but it can be dangerous. So know the sport well and don't take any chances. Be with you next week for another exciting sea hunt.
dam stood there like a concrete giant, holding back the waters of the subtropical river. It was brand new and had been operating only a matter of days. Silhouetted against the sky, its power lines transmitted power for new industrial plants and light over the villages and cities. Suddenly, a strange, solitary figure appeared underwater at the base of this huge dam, near the big intake valves, the heart of the structure through which flowed the water that generated its force and energy. Soon, in the deadly hands of this mysterious intruder was to rest the fate of the dam itself and the lives of hundreds of people, including my own. I'd received a call from the local office of the American company which had built the dam. It was urgent. They asked me to come prepared to travel immediately.
This dam means a lot to us, Nelson. We're proud of it. Sort of a pet project. We built it despite flies, heat, rain, no roads, unskilled labor. But it means more to the people down there. It's a small country and they're dirt poor. This project will wake up their whole economy, bring them some decent living. It'll make them our friends. We don't want to see that dam hurt. See how isolated it is?
Ah, boy, I'll say. That's right in the middle of the desert.
Right. On the surface, it's absolutely secure. Oh, minor things can happen, but nothing big. The dam's like a fortress. Nothing less than an atom bomb could even scratch it. But we may be vulnerable at one point.
Underwater?
Right. And there have been disturbing rumors that an unidentified diver has been seen in the vicinity.
Oh?
Call it a hunch, but we need your help.
Well, okay. You've got it.
Good. I feel better already.
When do I leave?
I flew all night and the next day on my way south, past the Panama Canal and into the subtropics. Switching over to an amphib, I flew inland to the site of the dam. The lake was a whopper.
Why, those desk-bound, homegrown, stateside executives, so that's the way they want it. Well, that's just great. Finch, we got a new boss.
The letter reads temporary underwater authority, Mr. Turner.
Just plain chief will do.
Okay, Chief.
Look, Mr. Nelson, I got a little speech to make. I built that dam. She's my baby. I know every pound of concrete and every foot of steel in her. She's as strong as Gibraltar and just as safe. Nothing's going to get to that dam. So you can just pick up your gear and hightail it back to the Home Office.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chief. But as long as I'm here, the underwater security of that dam is going to be my responsibility. When I leave, it can be yours again. If it's still standing.
What do you mean, if it's still standing?
Well, there's already been some damage, hasn't there?
Oh, penny ante stuff. Happens everywhere.
What happens everywhere?
The government that's in, and it's a good one, they'll get the credit for building the dam. And it'll keep them in. The boys that are out are just trying to foul up the boys that are in. Just like it is back in the States.
I think they played a little rougher here.
We don't have any real problems, Mr. Nelson. As a matter of fact, we're getting ready for the dedication ceremonies.
Oh? When's that going to be?
3 or 4 days. All the local brass is going to gather on top of the dam. Cut a ribbon or something.
Well, about now might be a good time for them to foul up the ends, don't you think?
That might be. But like I told you, everything is secure from top to bottom. Why, Finch here just made an underwater patrol this morning.
I'd like to take a look at that underwater installation.
Now?
Now.
The chief just told you I inspected those underwater installations.
Hold it, Finch. Mr. Nelson has a letter of authority. Floro! Get his gear aboard. All right, let's get going.
On the way to the dam, I asked some questions concerning its mechanical operation. I got answers, but they were crisp and short. Finch, in particular, seemed to resent my sudden intrusion into his private underwater domain. In a way, I could hardly blame him. The water was cold and remarkably clear. I could see by the way Finch handled himself that he was a top-flight underseaman. We arrived at the first of what proved to be 4 intake towers. I checked the safety belts, which Finch had reluctantly briefed me on, before we went below. They had been installed so that on tours of inspection, a diver wouldn't be sucked into the intake openings. At each valve was an instrument designed to measure the rate of flow. Inside the valve itself was the mechanism that controlled the rate of flow, to speed it up, reduce it, or shut it off entirely. I'd been warned about the powerful inward force of the water. Although this particular valve was apparently operating at minimum capacity, the suction was still very strong. Finch's demonstration left very little doubt of that. The safety belt proved to be a welcome friend. I ventured into the valve. It was an eerie feeling, like being pulled into a bottomless undersea grave. Without a safety belt, a diver'd be finished in a split second. We checked all the valves closely. Apparently, everything was in excellent working order. The dam, from the underwater point of view, was secure. For the moment.
Everything meet with your approval? It sure does. Oh, that's a huge operation you got down there.
Yeah, and it's perfectly safe. Just like I told you.
That's a huge, magnificent structure. A thing of beauty from top to bottom. Man can be proud of that. It's kind of a monument to his life.
Well, I suppose so.
I guess if it were my dam, I'd resent it too if a stranger came barging in and tried to tell me how to run it, or to protect it.
Sorry about the little blow-up in the pier.
I understand.
Anything I can do to help you, just sound off.
I asked the chief to show me around the area. The lake was new and unfamiliar to me, and I wanted to get a good look at it. To get under the water, a man has to start from the surface, and I wanted to see if the lake was as secure above as it seemed to be below. The area adjacent to the dam itself checked out clear. The Palisades were bleak and lonesome. No signs of life. We checked a few of the dozens of coves spaced out in the hills. We were just about to head back when I saw a boat, an empty dinghy. Nobody in it or near it. It seemed curious to me.
That boat out there, isn't it a little too close to the dam? Or you're out of bounds?
Well, there are a lot of native boats around. We can't check them all. Besides, there's nobody aboard.
That's what bothers me. I'm going to set up a constant patrol for those valves. We'll alternate the watch. I'll take the first watch.
I'm all familiar with this area. I'll take the first one.
It's my job. I'll take the first one.
Now, look here, Nelson. Don't act like we never did anything right.
Hold it, Finch. An order's an order.
On my way to inspect the valves, I swam through a school of piranha. I was mighty glad that I had my wetsuit and gloves on, so I wouldn't arouse their hunger. These deadly little razor-toothed fish can tear a man apart in minutes. The first valve that I checked, something was dead wrong. Hanging from a spike was a large galvanized iron box. Finch and I had just inspected the area, and in the brief time that we were away, somebody had moved fast. I immediately thought of the empty dinghy. I think I knew what was in the box the moment that I saw it. I was almost afraid to open it.
He's been down there a long time.
Well, maybe he got pulled into one of the valves.
My fear was confirmed. It was dynamite. Apparently, the saboteur had gone back for a second load. This was a big dam. He needed a big charge to do his job. I wanted to wait so that I could intercept him when he returned, but my air supply was about exhausted. I removed the dynamite, but left the box so the saboteur wouldn't immediately know that he'd been discovered. I needed every second.
There's your plenty Annie stuff, Chief. Put on your gear. You need some full tanks. Get your binocs, Chief. Scan the lake for bubbles. Hurry up with my tanks. Okay, help him, huh? That's fine. He's working on valve number 4. He's probably on his way back now with another load of dynamite. So we'll head straight for number 4, huh?
Why don't we intercept him?
No, it's no good. If we miss him, and he gets there before we do, we're in for trouble.
Mike! Bubbles!
Where?
Right off the stern, about 50 yards from the dam and heading straight for it.
All right, now, Finch. When we get down there, I'll give you a signal. You circle around and come in from behind him, okay?
Check.
All right, make it fast.
was quick and very strong. Not only were we fighting each other, we were fighting the pressure of the water which pulled us towards the valve. At any moment, I expected Finch to arrive. Then I saw Finch, preparing to fire. He didn't, though. The dynamiter and I were too close to each other. Finch was afraid that he'd hit me, I figured. Suddenly, I felt a pulling motion. The dynamiter had cut his own line, thinking that it was mine, and was being drawn into the valve. I tried to save him, but the inward pull of the water was too strong, and he disappeared into the blackness. I looked over at Finch. He had the spear gun aimed right at me. Finch was the key man in this terrifying attempt to blow up the dam. He was on the inside. He'd had clear sailing until I arrived on the scene. I didn't know why he was trying to destroy the dam, but at the moment I didn't have time to find out.
Give me a spear gun. Go back down below. There's more dynamite down there. Keep your eye on him. He's responsible for this whole thing.
All right. You keep an eye on him. I'm going down the cabin and get the gun.
I wanted to remove that dynamite as quickly as possible. I had to act fast because my air was getting low. It was the final act on a rough day, or so I thought. The day wasn't over yet. I was soon to find that out. I dropped my tanks, hoping that Finch would focus on the bubbles, so I could approach the boat from the opposite direction.
Well, he's about out of air. Runs out, he's got to come up. Does he gets it? If he doesn't, he's already had it. He's had it. Let's pull up anchor and head for the dam. We can finish the job. There's plenty of this stuff left. Be a lot of money in it for us. We'll drop him on the way in. Or get going.
I left Lauro floundering around in the lake and looked around for Finch.
Hey, how you doing with that anchor up there? Let's get going. How about it up there? What's holding us up?
Been an awful lot of money involved in all this. Who do you suppose was behind it? The Outs?
I imagine so, the way he talked about it. Can't understand it, Mike. I'd have trusted him with my life. I thought he was my best friend.
Cheer up, Chief. You've still got your best friend.
Huh?
I'll be back next week at the same time with another sea hunt story. Plan to be with us again, huh?